They start off pure. Like Emily Brett, a lovely 7-year-old girl her little brother Job wasn't born yet. Beautiful eyes and a precious soul from the heavens she was. She had no difficulty trusting all, loving freely. Her mom was Maria and her father was Anthony. Now the drops of her innocence attracted the darkness, and she was eyed by the world, or as it started off, her school. Socializing she was doing, many people liked her, she was cool. However, she experienced bits of bullying, like the time when she was the only one with dark hair in school, or when she didn't give her homework out to her classmates to copy and break the rules. She was eyed in school. And so the days went by till her uncle Joshua came into the country because of a contract he had received. Little Emily was excited and couldn't wait to see him, so he settled right in and grew fond of his niece. Every night, well, at least 5 out of 7 in a week, he would read her bedtime stories right before she sleeps. He would tell her to imagine worlds of whatever made her happy, which for her meant thinking about her daddy, Uncle Joshua, and her mommy, sometimes school, rainbows because she liked coloring, and waking up in the morning. Yes, waking up in the morning. She enjoys the morning sun, how it kisses her face, and how the wind caresses her skin and carries her hair. She could stand in it forever, especially having breakfast with her family in the sunrise room or the sunrise balcony. However, Uncle Joshua, Maria's brother, made things better. On her birthday, he took her shopping in the mall. Then they went to the theme park to ride roller coasters and watch the waterfall. Meanwhile, Father had been really busy being a lawyer, and Mother was home being very pregnant with Emily's brother. But they got her gifts and still said that they loved her. Gifts like coloring books and a bracelet that glowed with the words, "My special daughter," in the dark. As time went on, he found more things about her more appealing as his niece. He offered to pick her up from school to free her parents and to get something to eat. On the way back, they would line up for cotton candy just down the street, and things didn't seem like they could be much better. But with Uncle Joshua, behavior changed as she got a bit older. Fun and games began to get a lot closer. Lapping her in tight vehicles became lapping her with his hands on her hips. Unsuspecting Emily questioned, "Uncle Joshua, you used to kiss me on my cheeks, now it surfaced on my lips." So she no longer stood by his side, standing in line waiting for cotton candy. Now he stood behind her with maximum proximity. Curious she was. I mean, she noticed her chest getting bigger and the figure adding up, but she couldn't quite connect all the dots. She told her mom about these strange signs and later told her dad. Maria defended her brother, saying that with all the training they had, there was no danger possible. She told her to relax and take a breath, but her dad was skeptical. He didn't want to vex and declare death, so he just told her to be careful. Now, as soon as she left, he discussed with Maria his plans of getting Joshua another place. "What about Emily?" she asked. "She would be devastated if she hears." "I know," he said, "but he's been here a long while and she's entering her teenage years." He hesitated a lot because he didn't want to sound too grim, but he said it. "Honey, I don't trust him." She took a step back and gasped in horror. Her eyes watered, her skin became lacking in color, and afterwards, she went away to meet her brother. "I'm sorry," he said, and he tried to explain, but she left him standing there like in those dramatic movies where the guy gets dumped in the rain. "Sister, I'm a failure," he started. "The building I've been working on for the past few years could not be completed. The company called off the contract because it wasn't done like they wanted, so I'll be leaving next week." "Oh," she said, with an exhale of relief. "I didn't want to be the bearer of grief, but my husband was already thinking of getting you a place, just to stay for a bit. Well, actually, till the end of your visit." He said, "Anthony, of course, and why was this?" So she whispered in his ear and left no detail missed, no detail missed. Uncle Joshua went to Emily's room. He looked at her and smiled like the crumbled feelings of his career had been towed away. He tried to hide the fact that he'd been having a really bad day, and Emily just returned the smile from sitting on her bed in a cross-legged position. Then he turned around and locked the door like he had the permission, and when he turned back, the smile was erased. He walked to Emily briskly till she was up against the wall right next to her bed with a confused face. "After everything I did, you told on me?" Uncle Joshua hissed. In a split second, his hand was over her mouth. Wicked scheme. Instinctively, she tried to scream but could not loud enough. He pulled her hair. He did not care till she lay there shaking with fear. Futile. She kicked violently and tried throwing punches at him. Futile. And then it happened. He found a red scarf nearby and gagged her with his own hands. Then he stripped her and took off his own pants. He took a second or two to admire her body. Heart racing. She was trying to scream, "I'm sorry," tears falling. There were sharp exhales of air between the rhythmic movements, and that was how she lost it. He looked her deep in the eyes as she burned out. Then he said, "If anyone hears about this, your dad is dead." Then he stormed out. She was nowhere near believing anything she had heard or experienced, and her eyes remained wide with shock. Her body also ached from struggle. She threw out the red scarf from her mouth and coughed as she cried. Then she changed her bed sheets and then sobbed paralyzed, and this was the cycle. At least twice every day until he left, and as soon as he left, she ran to Maria and told her everything, including the threats, and as she was processing that, her dad walked in and she told him everything. With violent waving of hands and roaring in anger, he took his weary daughter into his arms and proceeded to his bedroom as his wife followed in speechless shock. She tended her as he stormed out of the house, calling connections and reporting to the police. And after about a week of making arrangements for justice to be served, Joshua was brought back to the country and stayed in a hotel, waiting to stand trial. And at this point, Emily had been able to go a half day without crying for hours, and she had been spending time with Job and her mom. Dad had gone out earlier that day to meet with one of his lawyer friends, considering Jethro's imprisonment as already done. And as Emily and Job were watching cartoons on TV, Maria was a few feet away, organizing the laundry. As Emily browsed through the channels in search of a new show, news about a car crash on the highway came through on the television set. One man dead, name Anthony Brett. Maria lifted up her head. Job looked at Mama. Right then, Emily felt the sharp shards of glass from what was left of her heart stab her again and again. Uncle Joshua failed her. Again, the world failed her, and this is what it felt like. Like it was her fault he died, like because of her younger brother and mother would live without a father and a husband in their lives. Like she would never truly know her father's love again, so she ran to her room and wept, unleashed all the sorrow she had kept, and when the sorrow revealed, she wept, and she wept till she slept, filled with regret. Her mother was depressed, and Job was a bit too young to experience extreme melancholy. Now Emily finds it hard finding affection in her heart, and her trust is scarce. She is unable to sleep without her door locked, and red scarves became the insignia of weakness. If she had 100 problems, then love was one, and she's irritated now by the noise. It's kissing her face and the wind caressing her hair. Oh, her dark hair. If she was a WhatsApp number, it would be saved as "get out of here" or "leave me alone," with the status "call me all you want, I'll not for once pick up the phone," and the middle finger in her display picture would certainly be her own. Cotton candy now only offers the bitter taste of memories and living nightmares. Little Emily, once 7 years old, now sometimes cries herself to sleep and can only imagine worlds of the pain of disappointment. Her heart has been darkened and corrupted by the experience of the world. What she has now, and wears wherever she goes, is that bracelet that glows with the words, "My special daughter," in the dark. She has learned from it though. She has adapted. She doesn't let anyone in easily anymore. The spaces in her filters have been minimized, and her friends don't feel like they get through to her like before. She appears cold, and though she can laugh, her soul is scarred and resentful towards people. Men, uncles, Joshua, and yes, he was an architect who could build hopes up and make it fall like rain. Now she swears that she'll never go through such again, because if someone who loved her did this, then all who love must certainly be the same. She revels in this knowledge because it frees her from unnecessary pain. She feels the rush of the power in thinking that disconnection from people means you have everything to gain. Maybe one day she'll make peace with the past and return to what she once was. It would not be easy. Maybe one day she'll stop trying to color away the dark grey storm clouds that hang over her mind and weigh her down and acknowledge them. Maybe one day she would realize she has the power and chooses. This is the tale of Emily, who learned how to hate because of rape. Same with Zoria, who'd been introduced to drugs and now was addicted, Shinyo, who'd been initiated into cults and was forced to kill his parents, same with Jonah, who was bullied and plots evil in his heart, Sachi, who loved photography till someone led her into doing it new, to Sandile, who was told to think himself inferior because his skin color was brown, to Damola, who was verbally and physically abused till he'd learned to live without love, same with Tough, who'd been heartbroken and now doesn't trust. It's just, sometimes it's like this. It's this extreme, but in other cases, it's so gentle you mightn't even recognize it. And through life, this is the cycle. We live, we love, we stumble and we fall, but the most broken of all humanity could be the strongest of us all. These are the stages of the human experience. Starting off pure, being targeted, broken, corrupted, adapted, reveling in the understanding of the corruption of the world, the process, but most importantly, being able to choose to love regardless.